Oh.
He's a good dude.
We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Freeman, Busco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Morgan, Samples, Sims, and Somerville.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, will you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Pastor Rocco Wellington. Immediately following our prayer, we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to ask if Marilyn Keefe would be so kind to do that for us.
Father, we come before you tonight again, thanking you, Lord, for this gathering. We pray that you fill this place with your presence. Give us all wisdom and guidance as far as governing the people of this community, be it through a financial way, economic, whatever the needs is, whatever the people here tonight are talking about. We ask that you would give us all wisdom and guidance. And we pray, Lord, that you would take us all back from this to our homes tonight safely. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Clerk will read the minutes from our previously held meeting.
Minutes from June 10th, 2019. Council convened a regular session at 7 p.m. with President Somerville in the chair. All members were present except Freeman and Kilby. Later excused. Minutes of the previous regular meeting were approved, 10-0. Neal abstained. Reading of petitions and communications, passage of the consent agenda, report of the standing and special committees, passage and referral of new ordinance and resolution, representation from various departments and divisions, public speaking period. No further business on a motion by Fusco. Council adjourned at 7:46 p.m. to reconvene a regular session on June 17th, 2019, or special call.
Any corrections or additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and one abstention. Councilman Neal.
Okay, 1 second. Okay.
Letters, petitions, and communications.
Petition of Janice L. Wade for a conditional use to establish a child daycare business center at 1232 Honotto Avenue.
File.
Petition of Our Lady of the Wayside for conditional use to establish an adult daycare business center at 450 White Pond Drive.
File.
Petition of Rick Angel for a conditional use to construct a commercial storage garage at 326 Power Street.
File.
Petition of Grace House for a conditional use to construct a hospice home center at 475 North Howard Street.
File.
Petition of Bacata Rizal for a conditional use to construct an oversized accessory hoop house at 240 East Avenue.
File.
Petition of Lori Lennington and Scotty Stewart for a conditional use to retain an over-height playhouse structure at 2169 Daniels Avenue.
File.
2 objections to the street cleaning and street lighting resolution.
File.
Petition in relation to the rented premises located at 367 Cyber Avenue.
Special attention, Councilman Hoke.
Correspondence from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control regarding a hearing for the Grant Street Tavern LLC, 1307 Grant Street.
Special attention, Councilman Kamer.
Okay.
Before you have the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
This evening, we do have 3 public hearings. We're going to ask if there's anyone here in the audience that is here to speak on any of the 3 public hearings. If you can please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our law department. If you are here in the audience to speak on 474 Ardella Avenue, 199 Maslin Road, or 1481 East Market Street, would you please stand at this time? Okay.
Okay. Public hearing number 1. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, June 17, 2019, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, on an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a child daycare business center at 474 Ardella Avenue.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Erica Roberts is requesting permission to establish a child daycare business center at this location. Petitioner received Board of Zoning Appeals approval in 2017 to operate a daycare center for up to 9 children at this location. The daycare business center, also known as Roberts Kid Care Palace, would still be located on the main floor of the 1,056 square foot home. The daycare business center would continue to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Besides the petitioner, there are currently 2 full-time and 2 part-time employees, plus a floater. Providing care for up to an additional 3 children would not significantly raise the level of activity on this property, nor have a detrimental effect on nearby homes. The zoning staff has not received any complaints about the current daycare center. Providing quality daycare services is beneficial to the entire city. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. So just want to make sure there's no one here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. I want to make sure there's no one here that would like to speak against this ordinance. Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Thank you, President Somerville. I'd like to pull a committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Amobian, Kamer, Neal, Swirsky.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. There is 5 conditions that the Planning Department has asked the petitioner to meet. They're willing to meet those conditions, as well as I know that the Planning Department and the Commission are in favor, as well as the Ward Council person, so we recommend approval this evening.
The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Second public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on June 17, 2019, during a regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council, 166 South High Street, on an ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a U-Haul sales at 199 Maslin Road.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Kanubai Patel is requesting to establish a U-Haul sales office in a retail business use district. Since U-Haul sales are a commercial use, conditional use is necessary. Several small U-Haul box trucks, vans, and trailers occupy the paved parking area west of the building. One goal of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to promote the preservation and revitalization of viable business areas by phasing out incompatible uses. The unscreened storage of numerous U-Haul box trucks, vans, and trailers at this corner lot location is visually blighting. The storage of such vehicles also reduces the amount of available and required parking for the store and a laundromat, and both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend disapproval.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull the committee to refer this item. Amobian, Kamer, Neal, Swirsky.
This item will be referred.
Okay. The third public hearing will be, a notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron, Monday, June 17, 2019, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a monument sign at 1481 East Market.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Ganley Maserati Alfa Romeo of Akron, Inc. is proposing to erect a 20-foot tall, internally illuminated monument sign along East Market Street and approximately 100 feet to the west of Elm Drive. Overall, the sign would measure 20 feet in height by 3 feet 6 inches in width. It would be set back 30 feet from the property line and contain internally illuminated logos of the Maserati and Alfa Romeo brands toward the top of the sign. The sign will be comprised of an aluminum cabinet on both faces with a white acrylic on the sides that are also to be internally illuminated. Each face will be painted a metallic gray. Proposed signage should not be intrusive to neighboring properties and will enhance the viability of the business by making the identification of the dealership more visible to approaching traffic. Proposed changes are also in keeping with the development requirements of the East Market Irene Renewal Area Plan. Furthermore, the Urban Design and Historic Preservation Commission approved the architectural review of the sign in their meeting on May 7th. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to the condition.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to pull the committee for favorable report with suspension of rules. Mobian. Kamer. Neal. Swirsky.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you, President Somerville. This is the recommendation. Of course, the committee is favorable as for suspension of rules with a favorable report. The ward council representative is in favor, as well as the planning department and commission, and we believe that this would be a favorable signage for this business to be able to advertise their business, and it would not be intrusive in terms of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Councilman Fusco?
The report of the committee is to file 4.
Item number 4 will be filed.
Time on 5.
Time on 5 will be granted.
File 6.
6 will be filed.
Time on the balance.
Time will be granted. Rules, Councilman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee would like time, please.
Time will be granted. Public service, Councilman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. Number 1, the committee motion to move this piece out of committee and is bringing it to the entire council for a vote. If the clerk would like to read that in, that's number 1 under public service.
Okay. There's number 1 under service. Resolution calling upon the Congress of the United States to introduce and pass legislation to create a national infrastructure bank in the tradition of Alexander Hamilton and Franklin Roosevelt in the current emergency.
Okay, thank you so much. All in favor of item number 1? All right, roll call.
Freeman. Fusco. Hoke. Kamer. Keith.
Yes?
Kelly. Milkovich. Samples. Neal. Amobian. Sims. Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
Eight yeses, 3 noes, 2 abstentions. The measure passes
Thank you.
for the legislature.
On
Councilman
num-
Keith? Go ahead.
On numbers 2, 3, and 4, under our old business for public service, we would like those to please be filed.
Okay. Items 2, 3, and 4 will be filed. Okay. All right. Parks and Rec, we already dealt with that. That item was filed. We'll now move into our new legislation.
Okay.
Budget and Finance.
Item number 1, authorizing the Director of Finance or her designee to pay $15,000 for an operating subsidy at Cascade Locks Park Association in order to support the maintenance of the Cascade Locks and Muscle Store Museum as a welcoming, recreational, and culturally education urban green space and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Consent?
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 2, offered by Freeman. Ordinance, authorize Director of Finance or her designee to enter into a contract with the Akron Summit Convention and Visitors Bureau Incorporated to pay an operating subsidy for the Convention Bureau in order to support the services and offerings of the Convention Bureau to the residents and visitors of the greater Akron area, authorizing payment therefore and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Consent?
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 3, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of notes in the maximum principal amount of $2,500,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds to retire notes for the purpose of providing funds to pay expenses associated with the settlement of health care claims, whether by reserve or otherwise, and the city's portion of the cost of maintaining its self-insurance program for employees' health care benefits and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Consent?
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay. Item number 4, offered by Freeman. Ordinance providing the issuance and sale of bonds of the city in a maximum principal amount of $12,060,000 for the purpose of refunding bonds issued by the city in 2010 to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, improving, renovating, repairing, enlarging, adding to, reconstructing, maintaining, equipping, furnishing, acquiring interest in real property in connection with improving the sites of and otherwise improving community learning centers and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This will allow us to refund bonds issued in 2010 and issue new bonds. Will be significant savings to the city. With that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amovian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 5, offered by Freeman. Ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of notes in a principal amount of $13 million to pay for the property owner's portion in anticipation of the levy and collection of special assessments for the cost of certain streets in the city between certain termini by providing street cleaning services and street lighting and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Consent, please.
this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay, item number 6, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into agreements, supplement number 3 to the agreement between the City of Akron and Akron Energy Systems LLC relating to the refunding of the $13,200,000 in certificates of participation Series 210 Akron District Energy Project, previously issued to finance certain improvements to the city's steam, hot water, and chilled water system, authorizing the execution of an amendment supplement number 3 to a financing agreement authorizing actions necessary incidental thereto and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee's asked for suspending the rules and a favorable report.
any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This would allow the city again to be significant savings here. It comes to restructuring these certificates of participation, and with that, we ask for its passage.
The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 7, offered by Keith, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the repair and or replacement of 3 expansion joints in a high market parking deck and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Keith?
Thank you, Madam President. The committee would like this to be placed on the consent agenda.
This will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 8, offered by Keith, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee without the formality of publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract with the Otis Elevator Company for an emergency repair of the elevators located in Cascade Parking Deck and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Keith?
Madam President, the committee would also like this item to be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 9, offered by Keith, ordinance authorizing Director of Public Service to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the construction of the Opportunity Pathway Steam Condensate Project, approving specification therefore and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Keith?
Madam President, the committee would like this item to be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 10, offered by President Somerville, Swirsky, and Fusco. Resolution opposing House Bill 242, the Ohio General Assembly latest attempt to unreasonably interfere with local decision-making by prohibiting governments from regulating local use of plastic products and placing any tax and or fee on those products and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Swirsky?
The committee's report is favorable, and we ask for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? You have a comment, Councilman Neal?
Yes, ma'am. No objection. Just for clarification, are we, because this mentions home rule, which I'm in favor of, but the discussion about the plastics and whatnot, if this is all wrapped in one, that's what I have some concern about. So if it's about the home rule, I'm in favor of it. But if we're trying to decide on the plastic issue that's wrapped up in this as well, I have a few concerns just because of some of the research I've done. So I just need clarification. Is this just on
This
home rule?
is a resolution opposing a state bill which would make it difficult for a local government to address the issue of plastics. It does not in any way mandate any behavior or regulation from our city government. So some of the questions that you have are issues that you would like to raise about how we best handle plastics or whether we address it or not. That would be something that you could bring up if there was other local legislation that we had some control over.
Yeah, no, it's just the way this is written. So I'm all in favor of the home rule. I do have just some questions on the plastic. So just for that reason, I'll be abstaining.
Thank you. So we would want to go back. Are there any objections on suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. Councilman Swirsky, any further comments?
Yeah, just briefly, this is another drumbeat coming out of the State House that limits the power of local governments, that undermines our ability to manage our own affairs. The issues of plastics and their harm to the environment is being addressed globally nationally and locally in a variety of different ways. Most recently, Cuyahoga County passed a ban on the use of plastic bags at local retail establishments. We don't have to do exactly what Cuyahoga County did. Most recently, Aldi announced a comprehensive plan to reformulate their packaging, to eliminate plastic bags in the near future for grocery shopping. These are some examples of things that we should be taking a look at. I believe, in particular because of our recycle centers' vulnerability to plastic bags going through the line that is operated on a daily basis. Those of us who went through the center were told repeatedly that the existence of plastic bags in the waste stream was a detriment to the operation of the recycle center, that it was very costly, that it caused work stoppages, that it added to the burden of dealing with our waste stream. We have a responsibility, I believe, because of our recycle center, because of the harm that plastics present to the environment, we have a responsibility to stand up for the right to address this issue in a way that we see fit. And that's what this resolution against a state bill would do. Thank you.
Thank you. The rule, Councilman Amobian?
You know, I've read this a couple of times. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what I'm about to vote on. Essentially, we're just saying we oppose this because they're telling us what to do. Is that what we're saying?
Well, I mean, if you read it, it does say it's not solely because they're telling us what to do. It's partially because we have a concern for the environment and we would like to have options available for us to consider for future policies.
Councilman Amobian, does that answer your question?
Not exactly, but I will live with it because it seems to me that's all it is doing. And I agree. I truly believe in home rule and making our own decisions. But it sounds like they're telling us what to do with plastics and other things of that nature, which we may or may not agree with. But they should not be telling us how to discard plastic and styrofoam and things of that nature.
The state is, this resolution does not make any decisions or any commitments of this local government towards any plan to address the issue of plastics. It simply maintains our right to do so if we decide that that is appropriate.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilwoman Sims?
Thank you, Madam President. I did have the same conversation with Mrs. Swirsky earlier today, and I don't want to sound like we don't get it. I just really want to get it. So my concern, too, is about being bullied by folks who try and run the local municipalities. I don't like that either. But are we saying that we just don't want to be told what to do? And if we decide that we're going to deal with plastic bags, say, for example, that would come back through council where there would be some discussions around specific items. So is that what the legislation, is that the intent?
Again, this is a resolution opposing a state bill. It does not require any action on our part. It does leave that option open amongst many options. We may decide we aren't going to do anything about the plastic problem. I would hope that we do recognize our responsibility to reduce the number of plastic bags that go into our recycle center and to help protect the environment. But that's just keeping that option available. There is no action on the part of local government that would follow automatically from simply passing a resolution in support of home rule on this issue.
Councilman Sims, another question?
So, Madam Chair, with all due respect, we got this piece at the nth hour, and so I actually got this after committee, and so I don't see, I feel a little challenged that the author feels a little challenged by the inquiry. All I want to know, point blank, Is this about our home rule? If it's about our home rule, I get that. No, I don't want them telling us what to do. But if in fact we're going to decide on what we're going to ban, and that's coming back through here, I know there's some other discussions going on outside of this, but I'm just hoping, I guess my question is, if we decide we're going to look at plastics, that issue comes back to the council. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
That would have to. I'm sorry.
Councilor Schwartz, will you please stand? Thank you.
The issue of what action we take as a government or decide not to take any action, we're just trying to maintain that right to be able to do so. Tonight, we're not deciding on any action on the part of this local government. We are just trying to keep our options open. We are standing up for our right to evaluate our own options, our own direction, and our own handling of these matters. Motivated in part because all of us are concerned about the environment and would like our government to do what's appropriate in that direction.
Councilman Freeman? Yes. Councilman Freeman would like his name added.
Okay.
Councilman Hoke?
Thank you, Madam President. As I stated this afternoon, I was against this resolution, and a lot of it has to do with the second paragraph where it says that the Ohio Constitution grants the power of local self-government to municipal corporations in Ohio, including the right to determine local rules for issues of local concern. This is not just a local concern. This is a state, this is a federal, this is a world concern. And it has a lot to do with Akron, but it has a lot to do with everything and everybody everywhere. And for us to stand here and say that we object to the state telling us that we don't want them telling us what to do. I mean, we walk down to the state with our hands out. We say, you know, we need some grants, we need some subsidies, we need some low-interest loans, we need help. But then whenever they come up with something and they're trying to protect not just residents in the state of Ohio, but they're trying to protect businesses and things that are going on. And I'm not saying that there isn't something that should be done. There's more than likely something should be done, and there's something that will be done. But we need to figure out how to deal with it and deal with the problem rather than just ban items, which is what this House bill is trying to do, to not ban items, but come up with a solution to deal with things on that manner. I think that this resolution is an interference by us with the state of Ohio, and I don't think that we should be sitting in Akron, Ohio, and if they've got their reasons and they are looking at that, then I think that that's their prerogative as much as we think that we have a prerogative. So I think that looking at it and looking at what the County of Cuyahoga County has done, and they have a ban coming up on January 1st. And is that fair? Is that fair to the whole county and to the businesses and to the residents? And I think that there needs to be something else looked at and something else decided rather than just doing it. And I've heard that that's what we're looking at to go for in Akron, Ohio, is to copycat on Cuyahoga County. And I don't think that that's something that should be done individually and on a city or county basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from any other council members that haven't had an opportunity to speak? All right. I think I saw Councilwoman Mobian's hand up first.
Just a simple request. Is there anybody, any legal person here who could just simply, in a nutshell, tell us what House Bill 242 states? It seems as if is it telling us what to do about plastic products? Is there anybody here who knows? Well, can you provide us a copy of it, please?
It is in the resolution. Is it?
I've been reading this.
Yes. It's in the resolution.
Are you talking about the paragraph that says here, whereas HB 42 would prohibit municipality or county from discontinuing the use of plastic products?
Councilman Fusco?
And
Yeah,
preempt?
just within, excuse me, whereas clause number 6 states that whereas HB 242 would prohibit a municipality or county from discontinuing the use of plastic products, prohibit plastic bag
That's what-
bans, in parentheses.
That's what I was
And
reading.
then it says,
Yeah. That's what I was reading, sir.
okay. And then it says, and preempt a municipality from passing tax on plastic or paper bags, straws, plastic utensils, aluminum cans, glass bottles, styrofoam cups, or carry-out food containers.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I appreciate this coming in, but as you see, although it seems like a simple thing, it's not, because, I mean, we have to remember what led us to make plastic bags a thing of use in the beginning. You know, one environmental issue is that when you go to paper bags, you're cutting down more trees, using more trees. People protested against that. The hygiene factor, things of that. I think my concern is there's an article that I'll forward to the clerk so it can be put in from the American Chemistry Council, and it talks about, although our recycle plant may not have the tools to use plastic, there is new technology where folks are using plastics and recycling those plastics for other products. I understand it may be challenging to us, but it's not challenging to every community.
Mr. Neal, talk into your microphone.
Okay, thank you, sir. I understand it may be challenging to us, but it's not challenging to every community. And then there's always a question, and it's even mentioned here in this legislation about a tax, and the increased cost to businesses that would switch from plastic to paper, and that cost, they're not going to eat that cost. They're going to pass that cost on. So, again, I agree with the home rule part, but I have some concerns, and I'm still doing my research, and because it's so embedded in this legislation about the plastics issue, I have a concern. So, again, that's why I'll vote the way I'll vote.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilman Sims, did I see your hand?
I think I wholeheartedly agree with the need to address, I'm all about really zero waste and all the things that would help to protect our environment, but it came in so quickly. I don't know if there's room for time on it or before we vote on it, because of course we don't want to look like we don't want to protect the environment. They're just outstanding questions. You know, I asked earlier about even the issue about taxing for cost of even using paper bags. I mean, it doesn't happen necessarily at Giant Eagle, but it happens at Save-A-Lot or it happens at an Aldi's. And so how does that play into poorer communities? I just want to be able to have the conversation so that we're in good conscience on the same page and talking about the same things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kilby?
Thank you, Madam President. I was president at the Green Committee this afternoon. Ellen Nitsch said that this is a pressing issue.
Mr. Kilby, pull your microphone out.
This is a pressing issue right now. The state legislature is likely to pass this or consider this, so time is of the essence now. I think some people are really getting confused. The reason we're talking about plastic and glass and all this stuff is because the resolution is describing what they want to do. They want to take away our right to have a conversation about whether or not we want to do that. All that stuff can come later, as the chairman pointed out, but this is just a simple resolution opposing them, when I say them, I mean the state legislature, from taking away our right to do that if we want to. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to do that. All this other stuff about whether we should do it or not comes later if we decide to do that. So I think some people are getting a little confused about what this is. It's just a simple resolution opposing the state taking away our right to do this if we want to. It's as simple as that.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other comments or questions, the committee's report is favorable. The rules have been suspended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Roll call.
Okay, Freeman. Aye. Aye. Fusco. Aye. Hoke. No. Kamer. Aye. Keith. Aye. Kilby. Aye. Milkovich. Aye. Samples. Aye. Neal. Amobian. Sims. Yes? Somerville.
Aye.
Swirsky.
Aye.
Okay. One abstention. 12 to 1 with one abstention. The resolution passed.
We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to council during this time, you may approach the podium. We're going to ask that you please sign in, give us your name and your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making any personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from council chambers.
What? Okay.
Madam Council, my name is Tug Massa. I'm founder and executive director of Akron Say No to Dope. We provide unparalleled free services to the community, saving taxpayers probably millions of dollars a year, I would just assume. My concern right now is a property that we were just recently donated by someone who neglected it for 30 years. And I feel like that person's past is being held against us. The city planning commission or neighborhood commission or whatever, I met them on last month, and I met them on the 12th. And I'm doing everything that I can possibly on the list that they give me, and then they give me more. And I asked for a little bit more time, and they were not very friendly with me. I'm sure most of you know who I am and what we do is Akron Say No to Dope. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning, moving furniture to our new sober living house that we're opening today. And I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight to get this on record and ask you for your help. I've asked for 3 years now for a house, but here we are. My organization stepped up and we made it happen. We got 2 houses. So our program helps people reintegrate into society. We do licensed clinics. We have a food pantry. We feed and clothe the homeless. We have a temp service. We can get anyone a job. We just placed somebody that was in prison for 19 years for murder, got him a job today, he got out of prison. So what I'm asking for is a little help from City Council. I just need a little time to find out how we can make this building work. My plan is to make it into a food pantry and an internet thrift store. I know that this building has been neglected for over 30 years. I'm aware of that. But as you guys know, I walk the walk. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I sent a message to Mr. Valley, and the other gentleman was supposed to be CC'd on the conversation to give me the list of what my requirements are. I still have not heard anything, and we have 30 days to move on this, so now we're on my time. I can't remember exactly what the list was. I'm just asking for a little help. I need some time. It sat for 30 years. We've so far painted it, we pressure washed it, painted it, cleaned it up. I am having issues with the electric service pulling away from the building. It is not not any doing of the property owner. When I brought masons out to see what the issue was on the front of the building, we don't even have enough slack on the wire to even get it back into position.
So you have about 15 seconds.
Okay, what I'm asking for is a little help.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. After the meeting, I'm going to let you know that Councilman Keith, Councilman Fusco, and myself will meet with you afterwards, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Winston McHarg. I'm 740 City View Avenue. I'm in Ward 3. I'm calling to talk tonight about this assessment that I read in the paper a week ago Monday. It's an assessment that calls for improving street cleaning and lighting. We already pay property taxes for street cleaning and lighting. The property owner pays for most everything that goes on, and I don't think an additional assessment should be done. They clean my street. They used to once a week, but I don't know of any other. I don't know if that's still going on or not. However, I don't see any improvement in any lighting. It's not really necessary. There's street lights already there. So for an additional assessment to all these streets, to me, looks like just an opportunity to collect more taxes. That's my...
Winston, after the meeting, we've got a couple individuals who are going to sit and have a conversation with you, okay?
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brenda Henry. I live at 692 Carlisle Street. And I do have a concern about North Akron, the way that it's looking. I know that they're building up. That's perfectly fine, but in some areas it's terrible. On the street that I live on, there's 2 vacant houses. Grass is up to the door, almost. In between those 2 vacant houses, there's a vacant property. The roof is coming down on the houses, people going in and out of the one house. I'm very concerned because we have older people on our street. We have kids in the street all the time. I'm just wondering, when are they going to get to our street to do something about those vacant houses? And also, coming across Main Street, I know they put up various signs, which is perfectly fine. When I go into the Stowe area, it says, "Welcome to Stowe." When I come across the bridge, it says, "Welcome, blah, 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 International." Why can't it be "Welcome to North Akron"? I know there's different nationalities in our area. That's okay. But why do you have to single it out to International? Why can't it just not be "Welcome to North Akron"? So I'm concerned about that, the way that our neighborhood is looking, the signs that they put up. They had pictures up of international individuals. Seem like they're neglecting us. So I was wondering, is there going to be any change with that? What are they going to do to our neighborhood as far as the streets, the way that it looks? Don't look like no one is coming through. I've reached out to our council person. I haven't heard back from her yet. I called her and left her a message, and then I also texted her. I still haven't heard from her. That's been over a week. So where do I go from here? That's my question in getting things done in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Mrs. Henry, what ward do you live in?
Ward 5.
Ward 5, okay.
Okay.
After the meeting, we'll speak with you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
name is Steve Noem. Live at 1928 6th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. I've attended council meetings for the last 20 months, but last week's council meeting was very different. I received immediate confirmation that I was right on target. I had suggested last week that when each participant speaks for 3 minutes, the council president would briefly summarize what the speaker had said and let the audience know what action or referrals would be made to address those concerns. I also proposed that council would make available a survey for each participant to fill out so they would know how well they dealt with the participants' concerns, and I also expressed disappointment over the response I've received over the last 20 months when I've spoken to council. But following my presentation, a Ward 3 resident again expressed his continued displeasure over the lack of economic development in his ward and suggested that council was not working diligently enough. He said it with such fervor that he was asked to leave. Now, following the meeting, an agitated councilman confronted me and suggested I didn't know what I was talking about. He said that most of the concerns brought to council during the public speaking segment are satisfactorily dealt with, and every council person works diligently to serve their constituents. So on one hand, we had a resident who felt that council was doing a terrible job in dealing with his concerns, while on the other, a councilman stated that council was doing a very good job in addressing the needs of the citizens. So I think my suggestion that a survey be developed and offered to all participants of the public speaking segment and possibly be made available online to all citizens to voice their satisfaction or lack of satisfaction fits right in here. Council can get a better idea where they're doing well and can address areas where improvement might be warranted. But you know, my most immediate concern is the abrupt loss of affordable health care coverage for the spouses, families of retired city employees. As I was leaving the meeting, I was reminded that council cannot discuss this topic, having been forbidden by the law department due to 3 pending lawsuits. Now, I'm stymied by the thought that council is not permitted to review the current insurance plan for both active and retired employees to see if a better plan could be offered, which would not be financially overwhelming to the city and would not bankrupt current and retired employees and their families. I and other retirees do not see how reviewing the current system impacts upon the pending lawsuit, so I'm looking for a stronger justification from council for refusing to review the insurance dilemma beyond because the law department says so. I think we need a deeper explanation. While government at all levels of the United States is made up of 3 independent branches, the executive, judicial, and legislative, it appears that Akron's legislative arm, council, is being unduly restrained from doing its job. Then I'll just shift direction. I'm still waiting to hear why City Council has a pending resolution urging the United States government to immediately take appropriate steps to assist in the unification of Ireland. It just has me baffled. That's all I got tonight.
All right, thank you, Mr. Noem. Is there anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak during our public comment period?
Good evening. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I just been wanting to say this. Us that's over here on this side of this here, when we get up here sometimes we get a little tongue twisted and a little nervous, and sometimes stuff come out that you be like, oh my God, did I say that? So I just wanted to say that. And I did have a question about 2 weeks ago, and on a local level, I didn't get an answer. What is this city's position on clean energy and green energy? So if somebody could help me with that, I would appreciate it. And I would like to designate the rest of my time to Mr. Hargrove. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Easley. Doesn't exactly work like that. Anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period?
Good evening, Council. My name is Harrington Hargrove, and I come before this council to address economic development and the black community. I live in Ward 3. In Ward 3, under HUD, Community Development Block Grant money, they've spent maybe $5 million from affordable housing to blight, but Section 3 of HUD, this body refused to give it to our community, and that's the upliftment of our community. I talked to HUD people this morning and Friday, and they stated that HUD money is grant money. Grant. But you won't use Section 3 of HUD to uplift the black community. You've spent $5, $6, $7 million in Ward 3 from Opportunity Park to Main Street. But in the part of Ward 3 where they have declared it a hub zone 1, the council has turned their back on us. You won't allocate, I asked you to allocate the funding, but you won't allocate funding for Ward 3. The GAR report states very vividly, and that, I kind of got almost thrown out of here because I was asking this, I was speaking about the GAR report. If this council don't believe in the GAR report, it was a study, they paid $100,000 to do this study. And you all know the outcome, what the GAR report stated. The African American community has been eliminated from possibility in economic development. That's what the GAR report said. Like I say, and I've been saying that for 40 years. Ride through my community in Ward 3 and see what we don't have, or then see what we do have. We have 5 or 6 businesses in Ward 3, minority business, and 4 of them was, the city had did nothing for those, in order to make those businesses happen. They've already been there. And I stated over and over again, Ward 3 has been redlined and discriminated against. I'm hoping that HUD will call this body here real soon and ask the question, why not? Why not Ward 3 and the black community? Why can't we get uplifted in the all-American city? And the reason is why is because this body won't allocate the funding. The funding is there, but you move it other places in other directions. Ward 3, the black community. It's a fact. And I want to thank Mr. Neal for speaking up after council and stating the things that's going on. I want to really thank him. And so I'm going to leave you with that. And why not Ward 3? Why not the black community? Live up to the GAR report. And the only way you're going to do that is allocate the funding. Please, allocate the funding for the black community and let us be part of the all-American city. That's not asking too much. That's only asking right. But this council won't do it. I've been told, why do I come down here? Because the council hasn't done their full job in representing the entire city. Thank you. I hear the beat.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. Is there anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak during our public comment period? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public comment period and move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Keith. Budget and Finance, Councilman Keith. Planning, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilman Keith. Public Utilities, Councilman Samples. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal. Housing, Councilman Kilby. Health and Social Services, Councilman Amobian. Economic Development, Councilman Sims. Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky.
12:30.
Is there anything else coming before this body?
Motion to adjourn.
See no objections. We're adjourned.
Oh my God.